Have you ever felt dismissed, frustrated, or unheard by doctors? Maybe you've been told that your labs are normal, but you feel anything but healthy and normal. You are in the right place because I am not your typical doctor, and that's exactly why I can help you truly heal. Welcome to the Radiant Health and Wellness community. Throughout each video training and masterclass, we explore perspectives designed to empower you and activate your radiant health, wellness, and vitality. My name is Dr. Beata Harasim, and I created the Radiant Health Protocol, an integrative system utilizing 6 pillars to master your health and wellness from within as you make your body your ally on your journey to optimal well-being. This protocol is the solution for various signs and symptoms, stages of life, diagnoses, and conditions. Join us as we take a deep dive into just one aspect of health and wellness right now. And these episodes are for educational purposes only. Please consult with your physician or a practitioner before making any changes. Let's go. Your journey to radiant health starts here. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Beata. Today, we are talking about breaking the mold in healthcare. And I am very interested to see what your thoughts are on this, because so many people have contacted me, or I've been in touch with them. And what I keep hearing over and over is that your approach to health and healing is so different than what I was expecting, and in a really good way. So I'm curious what your response is, and what have you been feeling about your health situation, the healthcare that you've been receiving, whether it may be from traditional doctors or even from naturopaths and functional medicine practitioners, because I get people from both sides. Some clients come to me and they're just done of just having a prescription handed to them instead of root cause healing. And then other clients come to me because they are frustrated, even with functional medicine and naturopath practitioners, that still their visits are rushed. They get a list of 20 to 30 supplements and it's bye, see you later, and they're trying to figure this out on their own. So I'm curious if you are in either of those situations and know that, there is help and assistance available for you and support available for you for your success with your healing journey. So have you ever felt dismissed, frustrated, or unheard by doctors? Maybe you've been told that your labs are normal, but you feel anything but healthy and normal. You are in the right place because I am not your typical doctor, and that's exactly why I can help you truly heal. So I remember feeling this way when I was looking for help with my own health challenges through the years, but this intensified when my daughter had some pretty significant health challenges as a baby, as an infant. And many of the clients that I work with also have had these experiences. So I remember with my daughter going to various practitioners, both traditional and natural, and just not getting the support and guidance that we needed. Some things actually made her worse, even though they were natural and, quote unquote, on the natural side of things. And at the same time, we went to multiple doctors, we explored so many various options, and there really wasn't this support available to guide us appropriately through her healing journey. Have you ever experienced that? And, again, I hear this from many clients where they've been to multiple doctors, both traditional, non-traditional. Maybe they've had prescriptions that they've been on for years or even decades to manage a condition. And this ranges from autoimmunity, hormonal conditions, digestion, inflammation, right, immune health, etc. And they were just really frustrated with things not improving. And they were just getting more medications, right? Because when there's one prescription, you're not just healing from what you've got going on with your body. Now you're healing from the side effects of the prescription. Put a 1 in the comments if you know what I mean with that, right? And then, you have side effects. So then you get another prescription for those side effects. And then the process continues, right? Put a 1 in the comments if you've ever been there. And then there are others, right, that I've been in touch with, and many of you as well, who may have been trying to figure it on your own, right? You've been trying different things. You may have tried supplements and maybe even tried things like, essential oils and, changing your diet and things like that. And you're not seeing the results that you want, right? You've tried the diets, supplements, but there's still something missing. And I want you to know that you're not alone on this journey. I just recently worked with someone who did a very restrictive diet, right? Carnivore is something that is talked about a lot in the, circles nowadays, right? However, and it can be really powerful. However, there are pieces that need to be in place before you do that. And it's not appropriate for everyone. So one, it wasn't appropriate for her in the phase of her healing journey where she was at, and there were missing pieces to the puzzle. So she was on this for months and still didn't see improvement because it wasn't in alignment with her. And again, she didn't have the support that she needed because she was just trying to do this on her own. And, if this is you, I'm sending you love. And I absolutely understand. I tried things on my own for a really long time. And there's a place where you just get frustrated with that, right? Where you're like, I'm done with this and I don't want to keep guessing and keep trying things for months and sometimes years and wasting time. And same thing, even on prescriptions, if you have been on prescriptions, again, someone I just recently worked with as well, she was just getting steroid prescription after steroid prescription after steroid prescription for her autoimmune condition. Well, we tweaked some things and guess what? There's no flares and she doesn't need the steroid prescription or other prescriptions as well. So this is so possible. And this is, again, where this is breaking the mold of healthcare. This is not what your typical doctor would have you do. And even, again, beyond most functional medicine or even naturopaths. So we're going to dive deep into this. But, based on this picture, so I have the tree, right, with the leaves. I am curious, what is it, right? What's your biggest health challenge that's keeping you stuck? And you can go ahead and put this in the comments below. And it can be so many more things. I only had so much room on this tree to fill in, right, the blanks. But, it could be difficulty losing weight. It could be food allergies. And yes, you can heal food allergies. Autoimmunity, all of these things, healing is possible. Hormonal issues, maybe you are going into pregnancy or you're breastfeeding, right? You're newly postpartum and you're having challenges. There's so much healing that happens there. I'll share more about my story in a minute. Chronic pain, fatigue, digestive conditions, right? Heart conditions, cancer, diabetes, baby colic, eczema, reflux, other skin conditions, fertility challenges, autism spectrum disorder, anxiety, mental health, etc., etc., etc. If you don't feel comfortable putting it in the chat, go ahead and send me a DM. I have so many amazing resources available for you. And I have the master class of master classes. It is a free master class on the approach that I use that is breaking the mold in healthcare today. So again, just put masterclass in the comments and I'll get that to you and I'll drop the link afterwards as well. But this is the thing. This is how this is different, that I am not your typical doctor. I'm Dr. Beata Harasim, and I'm the founder of Radiant Health and Wellness. And so when I look at my entire journey, right, it started as a kid having health conditions, but I couldn't really do anything about that until about 22 years ago is really when I started being empowered in my health journey. So over 20 years ago, I started working in a physical therapy clinic. And I was raised, I'm Polish American. So in a Polish family, there were always herbal remedies and natural remedies that we would use, right? And that only went so far, right? Like my family's knowledge was only so much. And then we relied a lot on medical treatment. So I was taking prescriptions, I was taking over-the-counter, meds. I was, doing a lot of things that weren't in alignment with my body at the time. And so I had this background, but I didn't quite really know how to apply it. But after working in that physical therapy clinic, I fell in love with the approach because it was a holistic approach. So I now hold a doctorate in physical therapy, which is such a blessing because with that schooling and background, I have all of the medical background, except I was never indoctrinated in the idea that there's a symptom and then there's a pill for it. So I'm so grateful for that, that I was never indoctrinated in that system where it's like, you have a symptom and you just prescribe. Okay. That is not how I've worked. And again, as a physical therapist, we have had to use your body's innate healing wisdom and know how to, not extract it, but how to get your body to utilize that. So that was such a blessing to have that background, because the medical background is there. We do all the same courses and training as medical doctors, except for the prescribing part and ordering imaging and things like that. Now, the beauty in this is that, I have even the pharmacology background where I know what to look out for interactions and all of that. And, right, with this, I've also, after that, completed residency and fellowship training in orthopedic manual physical therapy. So I've had this really advanced training that now allows me to catch on to patterns really quickly and to be able to assess and evaluate in a way that is, it's going from here to here. It's a very different way of looking at health and a body. So I specialize in body work. That was my first passion and love. And I even have a degree in nutrition. And I did work in urgent care for years. So this is the thing, though, even with all of that background, I don't diagnose, I don't prescribe, I don't vaccinate. And so therefore I can't act as a PCP. However, with all of that experience, doctors of physical therapy, we are a primary care role. So it puts us in this really unique position. Now, people are like, all right, so you don't do those things, right? What do you do? That's the next question that usually comes up. So I help people uncover and address the real root causes of their chronic symptoms and even acute symptoms that just stick around, right? So the ankle sprain that doesn't heal, or, back pain, or whatever it is, that's kind of a more acute thing. Or even, right, if you get sick and the symptoms just keep going, right? So you have this cold that never ends, or your kids do maybe. There's something there, right? When symptoms don't resolve quickly, your body's asking for help. Put a 1 in the comments if that makes sense to you. So, right, with these root causes, we go beyond the standard, right? Like take this supplement or take this pill approach, or even beyond like a 15-minute appointment, right? My approach is holistic, it's integrative, and designed for those who are ready for deep, lasting healing. So let's just talk about what all that means, right? Holistic means that we are looking at the whole person. So your physical health, but also mental and emotional health, your energetic health, and even spiritual health. And integrative is how it's kind of like East meets West, right? Integrating the physical with that emotional, energetic side. And as I go through my process, you'll understand why there are these two sides that I work with. So let's talk about the big problem, right, in medicine nowadays. And put a 1 in the comments, right, if you have been there. So the big problem with medicine is that it's all about, oops, let's see. Something happened here. Okay, I think I'm still sharing. Let's see if that works now. Okay, yes. So the big problem with medicine is that it's all about symptom management. So if you have gut issues, right, there's an acid blocker that they recommend you to take. Or if you have hormonal issues, right, especially if you're a woman, here's some birth control. That's the first line of defense. If you have chronic pain, take this painkiller. And that leads to, right, we have such an opioid crisis in the world right now, especially in the US. There's so many things that come from that. Like I mentioned before, if you have one prescription, there are going to be side effects that now down the line, you're going to need more prescriptions for, right? Or, feel stuck with essentially. But this is a quick fix approach that, again, just leads to more issues and not healing. So I had a client who actually had been on acid blockers for years, right, for acid reflux, but no one had told her that the reflux was actually due to low stomach acid. And working together, once we fixed that, right? Her symptoms disappeared. There wasn't any medication needed. So can you see this different approach with working with the root causes instead of just Band-Aid solutions, right? Put a 1 in the comments if that makes sense to you. Instead of just giving out prescriptions, right? Like, let's figure out what is the root cause. In this case of the acid reflux, for her, it was low stomach acid. For others, it can be high stomach acid, but we need to listen to your body. We need to decode and understand your body and what it's telling us. And then when we get that root cause identified and addressed, we get healing happening. Put a 1 in the comments if that is what you want. So I work with people struggling with digestive disorders and leaky gut and autoimmune conditions, hormonal imbalances, food allergies, weight challenges, inflammatory conditions, mental health struggles, pregnancy, postpartum, breastfeeding, and fertility concerns, and more, right? But all of these require a root cause approach, not just symptom suppression with medications and pills and even supplements sometimes. Put a 1 in the comments if that makes sense, and put an extra 1 in the comments if you are done, right? If you have been taking these prescriptions, you've been trying to figure this out on your own, and you are done, like you are ready to feel different and to experience health. And this is also applicable, like if you or your child struggles with constant colds, right? Where you like are just always sick, or you get sick and then it like never really resolves. It just lingers on for a long time. Chronic constipation is common in kids, developmental delays, ADHD, autism, picky eating, right? All of this is different, right? So the conventional approach goes like, oh, let's wait and see, or prescribes medications. But what if we could identify, right, the root causes? What's the nutritional, gut, nervous system imbalances or emotional, energetic imbalances that are driving this issue, right? Before they spiral into bigger things, let's take care of it at the root. Go ahead and put a 1 in the comments. And that's why I use a functional medicine and holistic approach, because helping children and adults heal from the inside out instead of masking symptoms with medications, right, and hoping they grow out of it. Let's be empowered and take a proactive approach in this. So I invite you now to take a moment and just think about it, right? What have you already tried with your health? Or your child's health, right? Are you just getting started? Like, has an issue just come up and you're just trying to figure things out? 2, have you already tried different diets? Have you tried supplements? Have you tried prescriptions? Maybe you've done like a protocol or a cleanse, something like that already. Are you just gritting it through where you're like, nope, I'm going to stick with this diet? Like, I think of that client who's like, it took 6 months of her doing this really restrictive carnivore diet to realize, hey, I'm doing this and I'm still not getting results, right? So are you on that gritting through path? Or if you're losing weight, right, you're working on losing weight and it's just not coming off and you're, on that hamster wheel of like literally the treadmill and you're like, I'm just going to keep working out and this was me. Again, like, I'm trying to think, almost 20 years ago, I would be running for hours a day, trying to lose weight, not realizing that that was totally working against me. So are you like gritting through and just pushing through without really paying attention to what your body's telling you and getting guidance, right? Getting expert guidance and support on your journey to make sure that you're doing the most effective things for you. And maybe you've done energy work already. So, some people kind of tend to come from 2 different paths. So either you've been really like gut health and diet oriented and supplement oriented, or there's the other group, and I was that side, but I've connected with, and obviously I'm on this side as well too, but this side is more of those who have done the spiritual work, the energy work. If I just imagine myself healthy, then I will be healthy. And there's so much value in that, but we need both sides, okay? So if you've just done the energy work and you are, praying and doing all of these wonderful things, and maybe you're doing mindfulness and meditation and maybe even you're doing yoga or whatever it is. But again, that you may need more, okay? If you haven't seen results yet, like just be honest with yourself. That's what this is for. Take accountability and take a moment to check in with awareness of like, where am I at on my journey? And again, many of us feel like we're on that hamster wheel where we're just trying thing after thing after thing after thing after thing without seeing real results. And again, the Band-Aid solutions, so many of us are doing Band-Aid solutions, right? With prescriptions or, again, diets, supplements, etc. So let's check in with where we're at and Like where are the missing pieces for our puzzle? And so, oh, I forgot, therapy just popped up, right? Maybe you've also done the energetic or emotional work with therapists. Now, there's such a huge gut brain connection. So you can do therapy for anxiety, depression, even things like schizophrenia, ADHD, et cetera, et cetera. But there's also, right, you can do the talk therapy, and there's an energetic component and a physical component that we need to address as well. So taking all of this into account, right, whatever you've got going on, and this applies to multiple signs, symptoms, conditions, like I mentioned earlier, right? Take a moment to check in, like how long has this been going on for? How long have I really been dealing with this? And again, just be honest with yourself. And then, do you like the results that you've been getting with that? So if you've been doing diets, supplements, prescriptions, whatever it is, right? These are your symptoms, right? How far have you gotten with that versus where would you like to be, right? And what does that gap look like? What does that gap feel like to you? And has that had an impact on you, right? And not just like physically. So let's say it's a skin condition, right? Okay, I get eczema, but how does that impact you for real, right? Does it impact how you show up? Are you hiding in the world because you don't want people to see your eczema? Or are you embarrassed of it? How is it affecting your relationships, your work and career? How is that affecting your social life? How is that affecting your quality of life in general? Same thing with, weight, for example, or digestive issues. Are you constantly running to a bathroom? Are you not feeling comfortable, with your romantic partners? In so many ways, this shows up in our lives. Parenting, for example, et cetera, et cetera. Like, think about how is this health concern having an impact on you personally? And how have you been feeling, right? Are you feeling frustrated? Are you feeling stuck? Are you feeling confused, like you don't know what to do next or where to turn next? So I want to present to you the Radiant Health Protocol. Now, this is something that I say I co-created it because it was with divine guidance and inspiration that I figured things out for my daughter and eventually myself, and then through the years for clients. So after my own struggles, I mentioned even as a kid, I had digestive issues. As I was growing up, right into my adult years, I had stubborn weight that I just couldn't lose. I had hormonal issues. I had chronic pain, anxiety, and more. And then my daughter was born and had her health conditions. And even though, again, at this point, I already had a doctorate, I already had a nutrition degree, I already had the, holistic upbringing with herbal remedies and natural remedies, there was still a lot missing that, again, we just do the best that we can with what we know. And so with my daughter presented this challenge that I knew I had to figure out one way or another. And so I started learning more. I started researching more. I was mentored by mentors. I did additional courses and training. And eventually we figured out all these pieces and we started healing. And it was a journey. And I share more about it in the free masterclass that you can get. Go ahead and just put masterclass in the comments if you'd like that. But as she was healing, I realized that the same things we were using for her were actually healing me at the same time. How cool is that? And then as we went on, right, I discovered that it wasn't just physical. I discovered how much our trapped emotions and our traumas and wounds that we have had through our lifetime really impact our physical health. And I learned that these unresolved wounds can manifest as chronic pain, gut issues, autoimmune conditions, and practically every chronic sign and symptom, and even acute ones sometimes too. So that's why I integrate this emotional side of things, the emotional energetics, into everything I do with the physical. And I started working initially with other breastfeeding moms as I started my own private practice because that was what I was going through with my daughter. That's how we started through breastfeeding. And it was this moment of like, oh my gosh, I have this personal experience. I figured out something pretty cool, right? I healed, my daughter was healing. Like, how do we bring this to more people? So I started working with breastfeeding moms. And as I was working with them, again, something pretty amazing happened because the breastfeeding challenges were what they were, and we were healing and working through that. And then at the same time, the mom may have had an autoimmune condition. She may have had trouble with losing weight. She may have had challenges getting pregnant again. She may have had miscarriages. She may have had hormonal issues, et cetera, et cetera. And so as I was working with them, it was really amazing because these other conditions were improving at the same time. And so I stopped and had to think about this for a second, that what I have in front of me is much bigger than I ever imagined. And that's the thing, it clicked, that true healing happens when we look at the whole picture, and it doesn't matter the signs or symptoms or diagnoses. So when we look at the whole picture, including the gut, our nutrition, nervous system, emotional, energetics, detox pathways, the mind-body connection, understanding our body, true healing can occur. Put 1 in the comments if that sounds amazing. Put 2 in the comments if that sounds a little overwhelming, because that is some of the feedback that I've gotten in the past. And I want you to know that we simplify this, okay? So don't feel overwhelmed. It's okay if you do, but we're going to simplify this. Because when I look at the Radiant Health Protocol and how it pieces together, the cool thing is that by doing one single thing, you can actually impact 3 or 4 of those things that I just mentioned, which makes it quantum and so powerful. So when we look at the Radiant Health Protocol, it's deeply rooted in a holistic and integrative functional medicine approach. So what this means is that we don't just look at symptoms, we focus on identifying the underlying imbalances in the body and energetically and emotionally that are creating these symptoms in the first place. So I use advanced assessments, sometimes functional training if necessary, and even bioenergetic tools to uncover hidden stressors, nutritional deficiencies, gut imbalances, and detoxification issues. So this helps people that are struggling with all sorts of conditions, like I mentioned earlier, digestive conditions. So this can be bloating or IBS, chronic constipation, food sensitivities, food allergies, autoimmune conditions such as inflammation, joint pain, fatigue, skin issues, it can be digestive issues, right? Depending on the autoimmune condition, this can present really differently. And a side note is that it is March right now, which is Autoimmune Health Awareness Month, and I do have a free autoimmune masterclass. So if you'd like that, just put autoimmune in the comments. And then hormonal balances, right? So hormonal imbalances such as PCOS, right? Polycystic ovarian syndrome, thyroid issues I see so often, infertility, postpartum recovery, etc., right? Hair loss, like this is all hormonally based, even menopause symptoms. And then there's weight struggles and metabolic health, chronic infections and immune dysfunction. So frequently getting sick, allergies, like even seasonal allergies, histamine allergies, etc. Histamine issues, not allergies. And this can also be chronic infections such as Lyme or mold issues as well that are creating an immune dysfunction. And then mental health and neurodevelopmental disorders, such as, again, anxiety, depression, brain fog, ADHD, even autism. And then there's pediatric health challenges that are more specific to that, such as picky eating, constipation, frequent colds, developmental concerns, right? Vaccine injury. These are all things. So no matter whether it's infants, kids, teens, or adults, the root cause approach remains the same. All we are trying to do, right? All we're doing is getting to the why behind chronic symptoms and helping the body restore its balance naturally. So put a 1 in the comments if you are in for this, and put masterclass in the comments if you want the masterclass that goes in depth on this approach. It's free for you, and you get so many insights and bonus resources as you go through that masterclass. Now, through the Radiant Health Protocol, right, we're working with root causes, and the 2 main pillars are gut health and emotional energetics. So we start with gut health because that is, I think, what many people are familiar with, right? Like the physical side of things. And that's where my journey began, because our gut is the foundation of every other system in our body. And it is critical for healing digestive disorders, food sensitivities, inflammation, and more. So with gut health, we are looking at really leaky gut as the root cause. and how this shows up in your body, because it can show up in many different signs and symptoms. So that is important to be aware of and to have a powerful approach how to heal that and work with that. And then there's, it like breaks down, right? So gut health is this main pillar, and then we're breaking it down into holistic nutrition and nourishment. So this is what you're eating, what you're consuming, because processed foods, let's be honest, are not beneficial for anyone, especially with all the chemicals and additives in there. But it goes beyond that, right? So how are we nourishing our body, but also how are we nourishing our mind and our soul? And then there's integrative detoxification in there that also touches on cellular health. So we're clearing out what is weighing you down, right? What is creating more of a burden on your body so that you can finally heal. And then the emotional, energetic side of things. So again, like we mentioned, this is about stored trauma, stress, subconscious patterns that impact your physical health more than you realize. So we're talking about trapped emotions and wounds that you have accumulated through your lifetime. And we use various ways of working with that. So some of them are energy healing, including the radiant energy techniques, which again was received with divine inspiration, divine guidance, as well as using energy medicine. So there's so many different ways that we can do this, and it's empowering. So working with meridians, working with acupressure points, understanding how to work with your emotions and their physical manifestation. And then this pulls in aspects of traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, as well as bioenergetic healing. So I use a tool called the My Health device, and it's actually right over here that I can show you. And so this tool over here allows you to, essentially it's a frequency healing device, right? So we are energy, we are frequency. And with this device, you can receive healing codes based on what is going on for you. And so with this, not only does it do that, but it's even more than a frequency device. This is geometry, biogeometry. So if you think of your divine blueprint as a human, we have a healthy blueprint that we come into the world with that is then distorted through our years and our lifetime. And this even impacts infants and babies, because we can have these distortions start happening in the womb and before even. Now, the other cool thing about this device is this is also a PEMF device, a pulse electromagnetic field device. And so this is amazing for in-person sessions, because we can deliver really precise healing and impact circulation, your body's immune response and healing response for things such as, back pain or neck pain or certain injuries like a wrist injury or an ankle injury or whatever it is. Now, the cool thing is with the device, you can also do scans virtually worldwide. So you don't have to be in person to benefit from this device and to benefit from its healing properties. So again, this is how I'm not a typical doctor. We're using energy and emotion in healing, not just, again, like a pill or even a supplement. Now, at the same time, we're also looking at nervous system regulation with this pillar, because healing doesn't happen when we're in fight or flight mode, when we're constantly stressed, when our body cannot shift into rest or digest mode. We cannot access healing. Our body cannot function as it's meant to. And that is so important to be able to do. And then the pillar that kind of ties it all together is decoding your body. So this is understanding your body's communication with you and the signs and symptoms and what they mean. And so again, this goes into the emotional, energetic side, but also physically decoding your body. Now, we also use tools such as divine muscle testing to understand what is in alignment with you and based on where you are on your healing journey right now. So like I mentioned, that client earlier that was doing the carnivore diet, and it just was not appropriate for her healing journey at that moment. She didn't have, there were pieces of the puzzle that were missing for her that weren't allowing her to be successful on that diet. Now, the other thing is, if you have been on carnivore before, it's not a long-term solution. So we don't want you only eating carnivore for the rest of your life. That's not healing. Does that make sense to you? Right? We want to be able to use these diets and protocols and tools for a period of time. And again, if they're even appropriate for you. So no, I don't put everyone on carnivore. But if that is appropriate for you, that's for a short period of time until your body heals enough to now be able to expand the diet. And that is a very different approach than other practitioners as well. Now, this is the piece that always blows everyone's minds, is the spiritual and mental alignment piece, because your beliefs, your energy, and your spiritual connection to the divine impact your body in ways that science is only beginning to understand. So that's why many of my foundational programs are based on energy and spiritual alignment. The Holistic Detox program, the Wellness by Design program, these are energetic experiences and spiritual experiences. So why does all this matter, right? I want to share with you one of my favorite success stories. And actually, let me go to that slide here, where quite honestly, this is a person who was on medication, steroids. She was experiencing pain and autoimmune flares for decades. We worked on her gut health, on her digestion, on detox pathways, nervous system regulation, emotional energetics. And literally within weeks, she did not need any kind of medical intervention. She was sleeping deeply. Her autoimmune flares stopped and have not come back. She had more energy. She finally felt like herself again. She was able to go back and live her life and have, experiences with her family, be present for her kids. This impacts so much. And so when we take this deep root cause approach, you don't just manage symptoms, you heal. This is long-term resolution. So imagine having energy again, feeling clear-headed, digesting food with ease, balancing your hormones, supporting your fertility or pregnancy, reducing inflammation, and feeling truly at home in your body, no matter what you've experienced until now. Now, I put my pictures on here as well, because again, this is a unique healing experience for all of us, but I want to share a little bit about my journey too. So again, in that top left corner, I'm graduating from UConn, go Huskies for those in Connecticut, with my doctorate and my nutrition degree, and thinking that I know it all. Little did that Beata know how much there was still to learn. And so down here at that picture is, my weight loss journey. Now, at this point, like in that picture, that was me in college. I don't count calories. I don't worry about my weight. And I just naturally maintain a healthy weight without trying, because we got to the root causes, which again, were gut health and emotional energetics. And then my daughter, right? Our journey has been nothing short of remarkable, with her healing journey and her being able to use those same strategies that I was using for her to be able to apply them to me. So that was truly transformational. And then again, working with so many clients and being able to help not only their kids, but themselves at the same time. And so again, this approach, the Radiant Health Protocol, and all of this, right, this holistic perspective. Some of you may be thinking, like, how does this fit into my current healthcare plan? So I want you to know that I work with your other providers. I am very familiar with being in an interdisciplinary team, and my goal isn't to replace your doctors, but to provide the missing link. So, and ultimately empower you so that you don't even need me. The deep holistic care that traditional medicine doesn't have time for is what I provide. And so some clients have their PCPs on backup, right? And use my on-call service and the Radiant Health Protocol resources and modules for their family. So they really don't need to rely on their doctors that much. This is holistic advice, and it's like having a holistic doctor in your pocket. Now, the other question I get often is, do you take insurance? So I am an out-of-network provider because insurance typically does not cover this level of comprehensive personalized care. We're doing deep dives. These are not 15-minute check-ins. Here's a prescription or here's a supplement, see you later. We're doing true healing work. Now, some of you may have out-of-network benefits. So for that, I can provide a super bill if we're doing one-on-one work, and that can potentially reimburse you. But that's something we need to check in and talk a little bit more about. Now, because of this, I offer multiple ways of working together. So this goes from one-on-one packages and consultations to live group programs, self-paced courses, and even free masterclasses like the one I'm talking about today. So again, if you want this masterclass to dive deeper into the Radiant Health Protocol and start learning how you can apply this to you today and your family, go ahead and just put masterclass in the comments. So ultimately, right, this whole approach is here to empower you. This approach is here to give you the tools to heal with the root causes, because when we identify and address those root causes, everything changes and we get long-term resolution. So if this approach is resonating with you, if you're done with feeling stuck, if you are done with feeling confused and not having support, whether you're struggling with your own health or again looking for support and answers for your child, join the free masterclass. Everyone who registers gets bonus resources, bonus trainings, as well as literally I walk you through the pillars of healing and how to get to the root causes of chronic symptoms for both kids and adults, and the exact steps that you can take to finally start feeling better. So if you're in, go ahead and just type comment masterclass below in the comments, or I'll drop the link later on, and experience this masterclass for yourself. This is an experience. I'm not just doing, again, prescriptions. This is an experience. You are investing in yourself when you are doing this work. You are investing in true healing from the inside out with your body as your ally. Wishing you guys all the best, and I will see you soon.